Alexia, your name is synonymous with Seascapes now. Tell me about your current exhibition.
It's entitled Tempus Fugit, which of course means time flies in Latin, because indeed time has flown by. I don't know, I've been painting the sea for 15 years now, and it certainly doesn't feel like that at all. So that is one of the reasons I named the exhibition. So
and this painting has the same name as the exhibition?
Yes, this is the title painting. It's an oil on canvas, and of course the serenity it portrays does sort of draw us into life and the time that passes. I don't usually paint figures in my paintings. It's usually studies of the sea in all its forms, so in storms or in calm pieces. But this time again, because of course the title is relative to time, I thought perhaps that including a figure here would make it more symbolical to the collection.
I love the colors, the greeny blue colors, and they're all the same theme, the same colors.
Yes, yes.
They're absolutely beautiful, stunning. Tell me about the other pieces.
Yes, it's a collection of 34 oil paintings. They're oil on deep-edged canvas. As I've said before, I don't usually like to frame my pieces because I find that the frames detract from the actual subject. They are the same subject. It's my specialty. I specialize in marine art. So yes, most of them depict the seas. I also have rock studies, so calm seas, storms, cloud studies, beaches. So there's a lot to the sea, really. It may just be, or come across as the same subject, but really and truly, when you actually study it and dedicate so much time to researching, weather conditions, antique paintings of the sea, the great masters, Turner, shipwrecks. It's never ending. It's a very vast subject.
And we're surrounded by sea here.
We are,
you've got a lot of different aspects to consider. What about starting and choosing the sea to paint? When did you actually start to paint the sea?
Well, it's an interesting story, really. As I said, I started exhibiting 15 years ago, but I've been painting all my life. My mother always said that I didn't play with dolls as a child, but I always had coloring pencils and papers. That they were my toys, so I always really loved to draw and paint. And my studies really took me towards figurative art and portrait painting. So I did that for a number of years. And then, I had a friend and he wanted some paintings for his home, but he wanted, scenery. So landscapes, seascapes, whatever it was. And I declined. I said, I'm sorry, it's not my subject. But he insisted, so I painted 3 pictures for him. And I never looked back. I just fell in love with, the subject, the medium, the colors. As I said, the vastness of the sea in comparison to the vastness of the subject is quite incredible. And I've been brought up in Slema, so obviously we're always, on the beach in summer, on the promenade in winter. So the sea was a very big part of my youth, my childhood. And then I also spent time living in the Caribbean. So that gave me an insight into a very different sea, a very different lifestyle there. It's so much slower, so much calmer. So it inspired me to paint the calmer pieces in my collections.
And you spend quite a lot of time in Sicily today, too.
I do now, yes, yes. Where, of course, I live in the countryside there. So I get a break from the sea, which is good, you know, because when I actually go back to it, then it's like it's brand new and I can start all over again. So when I am in Sicily, I'm very inspired to paint nature there. So I've done, only last month I had an exhibition there in Modica, and I exhibited, I think it was a collection of, I don't know, 25 paintings, and some of which were tree studies, of course, olive trees. So again, that's quite an interesting twist really to what I do. And I use my hands really to paint the trees, you know, in order to acquire that texture. Whereas the seas, as you can see, it's all very, very smooth and blended, so it's a completely different technique.
So it must be quite nice for you to have a change sometimes.
It is. It's very refreshing, especially coming back, because I come back to my great love, to the sea, so yes.
And you paint most of the time from your studio in Sliema?
I do, yes, yes. I have a studio and gallery there, and yes, I spend very, very long hours. Even though it is Sliema, it's in a very quiet street, so I'm not disturbed by the outside world, which I find it's a necessity for my work. You know, I really need to be left alone and left to my own imagination. Initially, Leo, as I said, I spent many, many hours researching, you know, antique paintings, seascapes, shipwrecks, whatever it is. So, of course, Turner was very much at the forefront of my inspiration. I mean, his works are obviously, you know, phenomenal, and I have visited his work several times at the National Gallery in London. So yes, he's definitely a firm favourite. But also, of course, we have a lot of local talent here. If I may mention my art teacher, Mr. Anton Kalea, he was, you know, he's an extremely talented artist. He's brilliant. He paints anything really with absolute ease, and the subjects he paints are so vivid, and yes, he's a very great mentor and inspiration. And also for sculpture then, I'm very, very fond of Andrew Diakono's works. He's, you know, so unique in his style. So yes, I think those have to be.
Do you think you're influenced by your travels abroad, apart from the painting that you do in the Caribbean, in Sicily? Are you inspired?
Yes, very much so. When I travel, I always make it a point to visit art exhibitions. I've just come from, I've just been in London, and I went to the Portrait Gallery. And besides, of course, you know, the classic portraits that are there continuously in a continuous exhibition. There's also David Hockney's exhibition. So that was a feast because, of course, you know, the colors, the versatility, the style, and it was a big exhibition. So there were pieces that dated back to the 80s, where he first, you know, when he first started painting, and then, of course, the most recent works. He's now in his 80s. So you can actually see, you know, the huge change in style, also in detail. There's less detail now that he's older. Of course, our eyesight tends to suffer because, you know, we really spend long hours looking, observing, working. It's very tedious on the body, you know. People think, oh, how lovely, you know, you paint, how wonderful. It is, but it's long hours of...
It is if you love it.
Yes, but on the physical, from the physical side, you know, you're standing for hours you're using your arms. I mean, with oil paintings, you have to stand up to paint them, especially the large pieces.
And most of yours are large, I know.
Yes, they are.
Very large, I would say, in comparison to...
Yes, I mean, this is about a standard size, but then we go up to, I don't know, 2 meters by 2 meters, or... Because I find freedom in a large canvas. When I have to paint something smaller, I feel extremely restricted. So it's not a favorite thing.
It makes a lot of sense. What would you say to somebody who believes they're talented and would like to start painting? It seems very popular in Malta right now.
It is, yes. There are a lot of young, very talented artists, and they don't only just start painting, you know, they study history of art, so it's great, you know, to see such talent being developed and exhibited. And yes, I do encourage them. It's a lot of hard work and also a lot of guesswork, because you never really know, you know, what your turnout in an exhibition is going to be. You never know what you're going to sell or not sell. But as you said, Leah, if it is, you know, if it is something you're passionate about, then you certainly must develop your talent and go for it, you know, and success does follow. As I said, I've been at it for 15 years, and the sea is it's a very popular subject. People love the sea.
Well, if you go to the same place where you were, let's say, yesterday, the sea is going to look different.
Yes,
in exactly the same place.
Indeed, yes.
So, you know, influenced by the weather and so forth.
Yes.
What about first-time buyers, people who are buying art the first time? What advice would you give them?
I always say, when buying a painting, you know, the painting has to speak to you. I mean, of course, there's the budget involved, you know, so young people might perhaps tend to go for prints because they cost less, but I don't really recommend it. I just think that if a painting speaks to you and you really feel you must own it, then, you know, you'd find a way to do so. So yes, I do encourage first-time buyers to start building a collection. And as you said, you know, there's many artists painting a huge selection of subjects and using different mediums as photographers, sculptors. I mean, we're spoiled for choice in Malta, I find, so.
Thank you very much for watching our Culture News today and watching our program. Should you have any comments or queries, please send them to the number that appears on the screen. I'm Leah Hogg for Net TV, and I wish you a good evening.